What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing my scheduled preview for the Alabama Crimson Tide for the 2023 season. But if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, it greatly helps out my channel and it helps me grow as a content creator. Well, my Alabama Crimson Tide are coming off a season that I felt like, I feel like we could have did so much more, guys. It almost feel like a waste, you know. But we had two of the best players coming back last season in Bryce Young and Will Anderson. A lot of people had us winning the national championship last season, but we fell short. 2 games, lost to a really, really good team in Tennessee, and then we later lost to LSU in Baton Rouge. To Brian Kelly in his first season. So uh, us Tide fans, that was very disappointing. Not being able to get into the SEC championship and being in the playoffs, having to sit back and watch other teams play. You know, it was humbling, but got a lot of optimism, for this season coming up, guys. A lot of optimism, and we made some coaching changes. Uh, Pete Golden's now gone. Bill O'Brien's gone. We brought in Tommy Reese and Kevin Steele, and Nick Saban has added some great former coaches to his staff. And there's a lot of optimism going into this season, guys. And I'm going to just read off the schedule for this upcoming season. And as I looked at it, guys, Alabama, of course, is playing in the SEC. It's always tough. But Alabama getting some breaks this season, guys. And I'm going to just read it off. Our first game on September 2nd, we're playing Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Definitely a game, Alabama should win. Especially, coming in this season, since Bryce Young is going, we're trying to figure out who our quarterback's going to be, whether it's going to be Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, maybe Eli Holston can make some noise. But my opinion, this is a good game starting off, get to test, both quarterbacks and see where each guy, what they're capable of doing. It's going to be interesting to see who's getting the starting job, guys. But I wouldn't expect anybody to be named the go-to guy in this first game. I think it's going to be a game where Nick Saban, watches both guys, for all the quarterbacks to be, the exact. I know most people think it's going to be Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson. Things can happen, one of the freshman guys come in, but it's probably going to be down to Milroe and Ty Simpson. He's going to evaluate, those two guys and see who's going to be the starter. And it's going to be very, very interesting going forward because the next game we play on September 9th is against the Texas Longhorns. We all know how that game went last season. Very, very tough game. I'll go back and read the score of that game. Yeah, we beat them 20-19 by a point. Very, very tough game. Texas Stadium is very, very loud stadium to play at, and we definitely struggled offensively in that matchup, but was able to squeak it out, against Quentin Ewers and all those Texas Longhorn players. And Texas this season, guys, got a lot of talent coming back. Quentin Ewers there, and they got a lot of good players over there. And that's going to be a tough matchup, guys. We host them at home in Bryant-Denny. So last season we went to their house, and this season they're coming home to us. So Steve Sarkisian is building something over there in Texas, and that's definitely going to be, in my opinion, one of our toughest games on the schedule, guys. Even though they're coming home to our stadium, look out for that matchup. That's going to be really, really interesting to see how the Alabama Crimson Tide looks at that point, considering, figuring out who's going to be the quarterback. But that's going to be a very, very good game, must-watch TV. The next game, Saturday night, the 16th, September the 16th, we go on the road, and this is weird. We're going on the road to Tampa, Florida, to play the USF Bulls. This is a team that, Charlie Strong, who's now one of our defensive analysts, he was the head coach over there as the head coach. And it's weird. Alabama's traveling to Tampa, Florida. Normally, Alabama will host, teams like USF at home, but very interesting that we're going on the road, to play them. But Definitely another game that I feel like Alabama is going to be, still testing the waters and testing out guys and see who our main roster is going to be going forward. The next matchup, September 23rd, is against Ole Miss Rebels. Once again, we had a game at home. Lane Kiffin, last season, Lane Kiffin and that offense had one of the best rushing attacks in the season, last season. And, really, really good run game. Ole Miss Rebels did a pretty good job last season. At one point they was fighting between LSU to be the winner of the West Division. And Lane Kiffin, he's returning, some guys. He got Jackson Dart. He also got some quarterback, out the transfer portal, and specifically they're bringing Spencer Sanders. This guy was a beast over there at Oklahoma State, and I'm thinking he's going to be the guy going forward for them. Of course, Jackson Dart got the start last season, but Spencer Sanders is a beast of a player. He did a phenomenal job when he was over there at Oklahoma State. So that's going to be a good matchup, guys. Whoever they have starting, like I said, I think it's going to be Spencer Sanders coming to Tuscaloosa, but we host them at home. So we'll have the advantage, but we can't sleep on Ole Miss, especially with Lane Kiffin. And also, defensively, they took Pete Golden as their defensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting to see how Pete Golden does with that defense over there at Ole Miss, coming back to Tuscaloosa. Another matchup, September the 30th at Mississippi State Bulldogs. Guys, even though, we suffered a loss in Mike Leach, Mississippi State Bulldogs, they're missing out on a very, very good coach. I know they're going to miss him. But since then, they have moved up Zach Arnett as their head coach. Young guy, one of the youngest guys in college football, great defensive-minded coach. Mississippi State Bulldogs played us really, really tough last season on defense. I expect that defense to still be the same. They're bringing in a new offensive coordinator who's going to change up, their offensive scheme. I think I said his name was Kevin Barbay, a guy from Appalachian State. We all know Appalachian State, shocks teams, and he was able to do that over there at Appalachian State. Now he's Mississippi State's offensive coordinator. So that could be a sneaky game, guys. Going on the road, we all know Mississippi State with those cowbells gets real, really loud. Could bother, our new quarterbacks. We all know Jalen Milroe started he started against Texas A&M, but came in the game against Arkansas. So he has some experience, but say Ty Simpson is the guy. He has to go on the road to Starkville. That could be a problem with all that noise, but hopefully Alabama gets that practice in, practicing for noise and stuff like that. But Mississippi State is going to be tough. They always play us tough. They always have done it ever since, I can remember. So tough matchup on the road. Now, the next matchup, October 7th, is against the Texas A&M Aggies, and we got to go to Kyle Field, College Station. That could be a really, really risky game for us, guys. Like I said, coming off a good team, playing Ole Miss and then Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tough matchup in the SEC. Going on the road and playing a Texas A&M team, guys, that played us tough last season. I'm going to look at the score again. I know the game was really, really close. Yeah, we beat them 24-20. That was the game. Jalen Milroe started. He had problems turning the ball over in that matchup, but we was able to squeak out the victory. But Texas A&M is a game, guys, that we can't not overlook. Jimbo Fisher has since brought in some new coaches, namely Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator, so he's no longer going to be calling the plays. Their offense was really, really bad last season, and bringing in a great offensive mind in Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher's not playing. He's trying to get Texas A&M to that point where they can compete, and be able to get to the SEC championship. They have, not been able to get to the SEC championship since they've been there. So look out for this Texas A&M team. They recruited well on the defensive line, and like I said, got good offensive weapons. So definitely a matchup we got to watch out for. Next matchup, Arkansas. We host them in Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Razorbacks. Sam Pittman, really, really good coach. They didn't have the season that they wanted last season, but he has since won the transfer portal. And Arkansas can definitely be a team to look out for. They have Dan Enos as the offensive coordinator. Great offensive mind. He helped coach up some of our quarterbacks while he was there at Alabama, namely Tua Tagovailoa. He helped his younger brother over there at Maryland. Wherever he's touched, he's greatly improved quarterback play. So him being tied up with, KJ Jefferson can be huge for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So that's another matchup we need to watch out for at home. Like I said, another matchup where we should have the advantage by playing at home. The next matchup, October 21st, the cigar game, Tennessee Volunteers. We could not stop them last season on defense. They just basically did whatever they wanted to do offensively. They no longer have, Jalen Hyatt, but they still bring a lot of offensive firepower back on their team. And they're going to have Joe Milton at quarterback. This is definitely a team to watch out for. Like I said, we got this game at home, but Tennessee look like they're on the rise. Definitely a matchup we need to watch out for. But we host them at home. Then we get a greatly deserved bye week on October 28th. We will not be playing a game that Saturday. But the following Saturday, like always tradition since Nick Saban been there, we go and we play LSU Tigers and we host them at home. They was able to beat us last year with first year head coach Brian Kelly. This guy came from Notre Dame. Was able to make some playoff berths, but just couldn't never make it to the big game. But definitely had some good teams over there at Notre Dame, and now he's inherited a team at LSU who arguably, in my opinion, one of the best rosters in college football from talent standpoint. Really, really good team. LSU is going to have some offensive firepower this season, guys. Whether it's Jaden Daniels at quarterback or Garrett Nussmeier, LSU has the tools to compete with anybody in college football. But once again, we get that game at home. So another favorable matchup for Alabama Crimson Tide. Going to be must-watch TV, and we know the Alabama Crimson Tide, we're going to be ready for that matchup, for the LSU Tigers to come home and play in our stadium. Then we play the Kentucky Wildcats on November 11th, a team that struggled last season. Mark Stoops normally has a great defense, but they're bringing in Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator again. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was in 2021. 2020, I'm sorry. They had a really, really good team, and Will Levis looked his best that season that he's been since he's been at Kentucky. So that's going to be a good matchup. We got to go on the road to Kentucky. Got to watch out for that offensive game plan that Kentucky is going to potentially show, with Liam Cohen over there and Mike Stoops' great stingy defense that he able to put out each and every year. So great matchup. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that matchup. Next game against Chattanooga. Chattanooga at home. Again, like I said, another matchup where I feel like Alabama just going to be testing out guys. At that point, we should have our guys established, but enter the younger guys that want to get some playing time in. I figured they would get in that matchup and get some experience. One thing we can say about Alabama Crimson Tide, we got to get the experience, younger guys some experience, kind of bite us, later on in 2021 season. And in my opinion, the 2022 season, there's a lot of guys that I felt like was riding the bench that should have been playing. But a lot of those guys were going to get their opportunity this season. And definitely a game where I feel like Alabama should be up big. And then, like I said, just swap out some guys, let them get some experience. And then, of course, our last matchup of the regular season, November 25th, against the Auburn Tigers in Jordan-Hare. For some reason, Auburn always has like some luck going on. I don't know what it is, but every time we play them in Auburn, man, it's just a tough game. Always, it's always a tough game. They're our rival. You can throw all the records out when we play against Auburn, and vice versa for Alabama. that's just an old-fashioned rivalry, one of the oldest rivalries, and hard matchup. And it's going to be really, really interesting with new head coach Hugh Freeze. He has since hired some guys, and Philip Montgomery and Ryan Roberts, uh, two great coordinators in college football. Playing at Auburn, always a weird game. Playing at Jordan-Hare, always weird. They're very, very competitive. Great matchup that's going to happen on November 25th, and I can't wait to see what happens with first year head coach and Hugh Freeze. But I remember him saying something about, was Nick Saban and Miss Terry nervous about him being at Auburn. And I know it's a lot of these coaches are taking some shots at Nick Saban, man. Like they really think, that Alabama's afraid of them. But it's going to be very, very interesting in that matchup. Like I said, Alabama has struggled in the past, going on the road, and Jordan-Hare. But very, very interesting matchup. But that's the regular season, and of course they had the SEC championship scheduled for December 2nd. Whoever wins out the West and the East, we're playing that matchup. But that's Alabama's schedule, and I see a lot of games, guys, where Alabama could potentially get crossed up. The matchup against the Texas Longhorns, that's a good matchup, but we host them at home. Another team that I'm looking at, Texas A&M on the road, that could be a tough game. We lost to them in 2021, but we hosted them last season at home, and it still was a close matchup. So that Texas A&M game could potentially be a game that we need to watch out for. Could be a trip-up game. And the Tennessee game, I'll be honest, even though we got them at home, very, very tricky game. LSU at home, very, very tricky game. And then, of course, going on the road to Auburn, always tricky, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens, with this schedule. But what do you guys think about the schedule? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And once again, guys, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.